Today's AskReddit post. Have you ever read a story on Reddit and realized you know the person in real life? What happened? Oh boy, this is gonna be a good one. Let's get started. I came across someone I knew from high school. We weren't friends or anything, but he was a nice enough guy. Him and his wife had lost something like 100 pounds combined. I was happy for him. My wife and I lost 100 pounds combined too. She lost 120 pounds. That's a good one. He's always adding to the relationship. MHM. I'm like 95% sure I stumbled across my manager's Reddit account a couple months ago. There were numerous points in a post I read that lined up perfectly with things he had been talking about at work for a couple of weeks beforehand. And the word use and tone matched his speaking pretty perfectly. Not to mention the account name was fitting. It was super weird reading through the post and having this slow realization that it was him. I didn't mention it to him. This kind of knowledge is too powerful. With great power comes great responsibility. Use it wisely. And for this question, great responsibility, I've been told my online communication is uncommon. Occasionally I stumble on other Yodas. Soon after a wedding where I was in the wedding party and knew the wife way better than I knew the husband, I found the husband on Reddit. He was so wholesome. I knew I liked him and that they were a good match. But that was just an extra layer of being happy for the wife for finding someone like that to be in her life. I was browsing the sub for my city and saw an interesting post. I looked at the username and recognized it as an ex-coworker because the username is the same one they use on Instagram. Out of curiosity I looked to see what else they have posted and found out that they are really into taking shrooms. Never would have guessed it. This person was so straight-laced and by the book when we worked together. I was really surprised. Shrooms will sometimes do that. It's kind of if something is worth doing at all, put your whole heart into it, otherwise give it up thing. They are widely regarded as effective against depression and anxiety, and that effect is one reason why I have never taken shrooms. But that sounds interesting. And do you eat them? Are they dry? Do they taste good? Yes. Yes. Hell no. Damn. There goes my decision. LOL. My oldest sister. I asked her if she had a username based off of one of her favorite bands. Specified the album her username referenced. She said fuck. How did you find me? Her dog was on the front page of AWW. Never really went through her post history. Sometimes see her commenting on stuff. She gets an automatic upvote. Our sibling upvote NSFW. Edit. This wasn't a sub when I made this comment. I have nothing to do with what's going on over there. That subreddit is, interesting. I didn't think it was a real sub. I think dude made it after I posted. LOL. Yup, they made it 5 hours after you made up the name. In my town a toddler escaped from his daycare and was wandering down the middle of a busy road. He was found by a local worker after hearing multiple people honking as they drove around the kid. I posted to my town subreddit asking what the duck was wrong with our town that no one stopped. I got a beer with another dad and he brought up the story he read in Reddit, which I had posted. I said hey, that was me, but the conversation just kept going. I don't think he heard. He probably thought, stupid, the toddler has to be at least 10 years younger than you. I once found a boy, around 4 years old, on the side of the highway in my town. I picked him up and took him to the nearest gas station. I let him go to the cooler and pick a drink while I asked the folks there who he belonged to. They knew exactly who he was and I was able to take him straight home. His poor mother was frantic looking for him when I showed up. She had twin newborns and was exhausted and fell asleep before she locked the front door. That poor woman. My sister has a 4-year-old and twin 2-year-olds now, and the twins made it out to the street once too. One of the twins is extremely precocious with all things mechanical, and my sister has now had to install 3 forms of childproofing on all doors and drawers because that twin keeps figuring out how to open everything despite the childproofing. Visiting adults can never figure out how to open anything in that house. Seriously, it's like an escape room at this point. but that kid can do it quickly enough to get himself and his brother out and all the way to the street before being apprehended. I'm frankly astonished children ever survived to adulthood, given how utterly exhausting and suicidal they are. Has she looked into those magnet locks? They only open if you have the correct magnet key, so I don't think he could figure out how to open it. Technically I don't know for sure, but I have a damn good feeling. About a month or so ago a guy posted a thing saying his girlfriend believes she is a cat. He went on to explain their relationship and all her quirks and whatnot. The more I read the more it sounded like this girl I had a really complicated relationship with some years ago. Everything matched, even her age. At one point she said something about wanting to quit her job and live full time as a cat. And I swear to God this girl I knew once said the same thing to me. The girl I knew even used to meow and mew like a cat. I reached out to OP to see if we lived in the same area, to find out if it was in fact her, because if so I was gonna warn him about the fact that she was very emotional, abusive and manipulative. But he never answered. I'm still fairly certain it's her though. OMG, I know a woman like that. Not from DFWIU? We were telling our dog Walker about this crazy story from Reddit of a guy who was in the big Boston blizzard that had just happened and ran out of this rare drug used to help with organ transplants. And someone on Reddit helped him by giving him some of their same rare organ transplant drug. And he was like, that was me. Whoa. Simon. Reddit can make me famous. Just rickroll Rick Astley and you will get an article in Times magazine. Yes, some idiot that I was seeing briefly years ago kept mentioning Reddit and certain subs, so I started browsing because it sounded interesting. Came across a post that was undoubtedly him. Had his car in it and wording only he'd use. I was just about to text him, found your Reddit profile, when I clicked on his username just to find a post complaining about my leg hair and saying that I don't shut up quickly enough when he interrupts me. I shut up real quick when he never heard from me again. Did you date Big Ed from 90 Day Fiancé? The reverse happened to me. About 2 years ago I was diagnosed with precancerous cells in my cervix, which simply put translates to I didn't have cancer yet but was going to if it wasn't handled. Thank God they found it early. I posted on Reddit for a while during the whole ordeal because I wanted to reach out to others who had gone through the same thing and learn more about the procedures, etc. Anyway, one day a friend came over and randomly asked me about it. Immediately I was confused because I hadn't told anyone about it other than my mom, and so he kind of laughed, kind of apologized, and said he had found my Reddit and read my posts about the whole thing. Like, even my replies to comments and stuff. Lots of honest and detailed things. I mean, it wasn't a huge deal, but it was a little awkward at the time. Thank you for sharing from the other perspective. Maybe I should do another AR. Yeah, sorry. I know you were asking about the reverse. Just thought I'd show what it's like to be on the receiving end. No need to apologize. I appreciate hearing both perspectives. A few others have shared their I was found stories as well. It's a bit crazy how much this is blowing up. It's hard to keep pace, but there are a bunch of great stories. This is fun. My Bill once posted to Twitter about a fight he had gotten into with my sister. I had heard about the fight earlier from her, and the details in the post history made it obvious it was him. Everyone ganged up on him saying he was the asshole and he was being very argumentative and aggressive with the commenters, which is so unlike him. It was bizarre. I showed the post to my husband and didn't say another word about it to anyone. These are the kind of stories that really interest me. It's so unlike him different persona. Even the differences in the way people speak versus the way they write can be very interesting and informative. Thanks for sharing. Occasionally my wife will visit my Reddit profile to upvote all of my posts. When she does, I usually get a text afterwards saying, "You swear a lot more on Reddit than you do in real life." To be fair, I don't swear at all in real life, but duck. Some people on Reddit, you know? Hi Ultima Gabe and hi Ultima Gabe's wife. Fishin' for that double upvote. Hot. I told a story of when I broke my ankle skating and one of the other roller derby girls in my team commented. We used to chat through Reddit a bit as I didn't skate anymore, but then last year she died suddenly in her sleep. I still have her messages and I feel weird seeing all the comments and stuff she made knowing she's gone now. Just sad. I still have some chats from years prior of my favorite aunt wishing me a happy birthday. It's also weird. I still have the voicemail my grandma left on my birthday before she passed away. I listen to it when I want to hear her voice. Make sure you have that backed up in as many different locations on as many different storage mediums as humanly possible. Saw a screenshot of this tweet and in the photo was this guy I recognized as a customer from the arcade I used to work at. He has no arms. This is relevant. And was decked out in Sonic clothes. I think his t-shirt said something like Sonic for women's rights maybe. Everyone I worked with knew him. He was really nice and amazing at playing Guitar Hero with his feet. All the comments were saying where's his arms and making fun of the Sonic outfit. Made me sad cause he's so nice. All the comments were saying where's his arms and making fun of the Sonic outfit. Made me sad cause he's so nice. The world is filled with literally just the shittiest ducking people. Remember, IQ and volume are often inversely proportional. He was a priest assigned to a parish where I was organist. Every comment he posted reflected our times together. Over lunch, I mentioned, I see you on Reddit, too. He just smiled and asked, how did you know? At that point, we just laughed and became even closer friends. At that point, we just laughed and became even closer friends, eternal soulmates. Please tell me you're the priest? LOL. I think it's Jesus. I got my girlfriend at the time into keto after discovering the subreddit. Fast forward a few months and we had both lost a bunch of weight. Then she started cheating on me. I found out. Contacted the other dude and let him know the situation. And we both walked away from her. She posted on the keto sub a bit later about how she'd gone through a breakup and was emotion eating and whatever. I started to get a pit in my stomach reading it. And sure enough, when I clicked on the pic she'd posted, it was her. She wasn't even a regular Reddit user and I'm pretty sure she made that post just for me to see. This makes me scared as hell that someone is going to find all of my Reddit posts about them. Then go to my account to see that my top comment is a pirate sex joke. They'd be so disappointed in me. No. They'd see how many people laughed or smiled at your joke and they'd be really proud of you. For bringing light into a stranger's day. Well done. Wholesome F. Someone posted an ATA a few months ago that seemed strikingly familiar, so I messaged him for a few minutes and learned that he was a customer with whom I'd had a bad experience earlier that day. The events he posted on Reddit had been trimmed so as to uninclude most of his worst moments. I messaged the mod's proof and then posted the real story in the comments. The OP was lambasted and for a brief moment I was a minor hero. Are we by any chance related? Yes. Darling. Don't you know your own mama when you see her name? Mayo the sarcasm. I'm so ashamed right now. My own boy. His father's favorite. And he doesn't even know his own mother. Oh. Madden, I'll be at mass praying for his soul. Casually browsing Reddit, I noticed one of my husband's employees had posted to a subreddit I followed. I noticed her because my husband was worried something had happened because she'd never been late and she was a great employee. She'd gone missing from home and work 3 days before. No call, no show. Her mom was panicking. She never came home from work, etc. I chatted with her a bit and she started using odd caps in her messages that spelled out help and hurt. I knew something was up. My mom's senses were on red alert. She was in a bad situation with a guy she used to date and didn't feel safe, so she ran. After talking a bit, I told her I'd meet her and help her out. She'd never seen me and didn't know who my husband was until she got in the car and saw him there. She was embarrassed, but we said no worries. Just glad we found her safe. Talking it out with my husband, we were able to convince the director to let her keep her job and we took her home to her mom after she calmed down a bit and cleaned up. Whoa, that's crazy. Glad you were able to help her. I was the opposite. I posted about my now ex husband and he found it. I talked about his abuse and my fears about leaving with the children. I talked about him gaslighting me and being physically abusive. He called my very Catholic dad to tell him I was considering divorce, which was advised to me by Redditors and my friends. And my dad called me and told me to make the marriage work. Meanwhile, my dad had divorced my mom when I was 4. I said duck this and left his ass. Best thing I ever did and regret 0% of it. Met now husband on Reddit and am happier than ever. Leave that dick and find your true happiness even if it means being alone. Glad to hear you left his abusive, manipulative ass. How did things turn out between you and dad because of this? Though, I recently had to cut dad off. He had a family with a new wife when I was 10 and I sort of became a toy on a shelf. He talked to me when he needed to alleviate his guilt but no more than that. I got with my now husband and developed a backbone, with the help of therapy, and realized my family is toxic. I'm not crazy, they just suck. So I told him I didn't appreciate being treated like a plaything and that I will not be talking to him again. No regrets. My friends are my family and I'm very happy, aside from some depression that is PTSD related. One kid from my school posted about his grandma contracting COVID-19 and had been one of the first deaths due to the virus in our town. He mentioned that she had gone to France and other parts of Europe during this time and not followed precautions and instead putting others in dangers by dodging screenings and taking pills to reduce the fever that she had so that she could board the plane back home. Pretty messed up, but I immediately knew who it was. Welp, I wanna say karma's a bitch, but you're right. That's messed up. Welp, I wanna say karma's a bitch. I think in this case we can say grandma is a bitch. Yeah, like 8 weeks ago I found out an old friend of mine had been murdered via an AskReddit thread. I went into a panic and started hitting hella people up to confirm the story and everything lined up. Turns out nobody in the town had known what happened really, just that she disappeared around 2 years ago. That shit hurt. She was the first person I met in that town. Always pleasant to talk with. Damn, what a rough way to find out. I can relate. In my early 20s, 15ish years ago, I was working a data entry job that let us wear headphones while we worked. I was listening to local media and a report came on about my friend that got shot in the head. I went to my supervisor bawling me eyes out and asked to leave. They were pretty great about stuff like that and even let me use vacation time to cover the half my shift I missed. Is there no such thing as compassionate leave in your country? That's crazy that you have to waste your vacation time on something so terrible and in no way your fault. One of my employees was terrified about coming out as trans. How do I tell my boss I'm turning into a woman? Her post identified her, me, our somewhat conservative workplace. I already knew. I had 4 friends transitions a few years ago. I know the signs. She was given great advice, but I approached her in the end and said, I saw your post on Reddit. It's all good. Would you like a huge box of makeup? Apostrophe. I gave her a huge box of makeup and shouted her to her first eyebrow shaping as a good job gift a few years ago. She had such a masculine monobrow originally. I've advocated with her against some conservative discrimination, but it's never been a huge deal. We live in a pretty freewheeling city. TBH. We're cool. She's a great employee. Her eyebrows are still on fleek. Are you hiring? On the Amethyst whole subreddit, the one about Ada for calling my teacher by her first name when she refers to me by my last. In I didn't necessarily find it, but someone from our class did and went to the principal about it. Writing about our school online is strongly prohibited. So while that happy ending by op did happen, in the end they got in enormous trouble in school. They forced her, although many assumed to be a male on Reddit, haha, to delete her account and she got expelled. I feel horrible for her. She never has the best luck with anything. I didn't necessarily find it, but someone from our class did and went to the principal about it. Why would they do this? What benefit would it bring them? Or were they just malicious? Like I said, the girl never had the best luck with stuff. She was always extremely bullied, although cliche, I genuinely think it was out of jealousy. The person who found it was one of those who bullied her and wanted to make her life worse. Wow, that's actually really ducked up. People bullied her to the point they manipulated the system to get her expelled. Both bullying and just a Reddit post like that. That's a wildly ducked up thing to get expelled for. When I was in 5th grade I had a GeoCities page and scanned a picture from the yearbook to put on there so I could show my pen pal in Australia. I showed it to my friends at school. One of them told the teacher, and I got put in detention for a whole week. The same week my entire class went on an overnight field trip to the awesome aquarium a few hours away to see seals and shit. I was only 11 but I remember being so ducking angry at the injustice of the punishment versus the fact that at that time there wasn't even a written rule against what I did. They just didn't like it so they made up a punishment on the spot. You want a kid to hate authority? That's how you get a kid who turns into a grown-up who never trusts authority. Bro, you actually watched the whole video. I'd give you a high five if I was a human. Make sure to click the like button and subscribe for more great content. See you next time.